studying the landscape up here of the human history and fire history and forest history all combined in this one place. And it's a good place to do that because the Jemez people lived here in large numbers before the Spanish came in around 1600 AD. We think that there were at least 8,000, maybe 10,000 Jemez people living within about a 10-mile square radius in these areas right here up in the forest. Most of their villages, their ancestral villages of the Jemez people, are located at about 7,000 feet elevation. And right nestled within Ponderosa Pine Forest, like we're standing in right now, there are large village ruins where the people were living for centuries in these forest landscapes. So it's an interesting question of how people could live on these landscapes with fire and with the forest for long periods of time and not suffer consequences of high severity fires, which we see today on these same landscapes. Well, the answer seems to be that when people were living here in large numbers, they were using fuel wood. They were gathering fuel. These are high elevations, cold winters. So they're gathering fuel year after year after year. Every small branch and every pine needle that they could gather right around the villages are probably taken in. And after 100 or 200 years, they're going farther and farther away to get fuel to support their fires in their homes. And they're also cutting small diameter trees for the roof timbers. So they were kind of doing a kind of forest management in a way and using the fuels, using the wood fuels, and the forest was much more open. And they were also burning, so there were fires set by lightning, but also people were burning their fields. They're growing corn and beans and squash right here on the mesa tops, dryland farming, very open forest where they had openings and they could have their corn and beans and squash right out in the openings. And then after the growing season, they might burn that field. And so there were lots and lots of fires, but they were low severity fires burning through the understory. So it's an interesting contrast with today. We have forests that are very dense, all these small trees that have grown in, which might have been cut for fuel wood or for vigas, now have grown up into these stands. And formerly the Jemez people would keep the forest much more open with fire and with fuel wood gathering and with cutting. And now we've got very, very dense forests and fires are burning over. Some of these ruins are having very high intensity fires are burning over the old ruins. And the heat from the fires is so hot, it's damaging some of the archaeological resources. So there's a lot of work going on now with the forest management to thin around these areas to reduce the fuels right in and around the ruins so that if fire burns, we won't have damage to the archaeological resources.